Our next guest says procrastination isn't a time issue, it's an emotional one. Joining us now via Zoom is perfectionist coach Grace Brodeur. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Interesting topic. All right, so you say procrastination is an emotional management problem. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I say that people don't avoid actions, they avoid feelings. And it's not uncommon for people who have high expectations of themselves or high pressure work to actually put off tasks because when higher pressure arises, that can result in higher anxiety. It feels uncomfortable, and our knee-jerk reaction is to grab our phone or distract ourselves. So I think people assume it's time management or laziness when we should also look at, okay, are we avoiding a certain emotion? If you're unfamiliar with the task or you're uncomfortable doing it, maybe it's confusing, it may result in you distracting yourself and putting it off indefinitely.
So what is your answer to people who say they work best under pressure?
Yeah, so this is a common story I see with a lot of my clients. They say, I'm just the type of person who works better under pressure. When really it's when the deadline approaches, suddenly that is the bigger fear. And that fear trumps maybe your ability to do it or your fear of being judged if you can't do it. And so you no longer have that wiggle room to distract yourself. And it's actually been proven that we're more creative when we're not under pressure. And so the solution is really moving it back and not distracting yourself so that you can work more creatively and you're not in that fight or flight stage.
All right, so how do we become more productive? Help us here.
Yeah. So it's part behavioral and part cognitive. So giving yourself a great environment to work in while also learning how to manage your own mind and manage your own emotions. And one way to do that is to just come back to your breath, for example, so that you can sort of calm down your nervous system when it starts to go into that fight or flight.
Grace, you say to eliminate distractions. Tell us more.
Yeah, so environment predicts behavior. And today's world, we're surrounded with so many different distractions. You can pick up your phone or someone might email you. And the more you are jumping between tasks, the less productive you will be. So that's one piece of it. I think another is that we tend to write extensive to-do lists. And when that happens, you're going to reach for low-hanging fruit, the things that might feel productive, but are maybe not the urgent and important things that you're naturally wanting to put off because it requires more energy or you may not know how to do it. And so I think that in eliminating distractions on your to-do list as well, focusing on a clear set of small amount of things. I think the Ivy League method actually only recommends putting 6 on your to-do list. Okay. Then you're a bit more focused and there's less of a chance that you might jump between things or work on the easier
that's
tasks.
A great tip in itself, limiting your to-do list. We know that listing and documenting things, writing it down can be a useful tool, but if you put too many things on there and some of them maybe not high priority, I think you're right. I think that is a form of procrastination. So
yeah, productive.
Last step, you say we need to make clear decisions. So how do we do that?
So oftentimes when we put something off, it's purely because we don't know how to do the next step or we don't have a clear next decision to make and it can get kind of overwhelming. And so it's recognizing that you're not always going to know the next step and picking up your phone, distracting yourself is not necessarily going to get you there. And I think life gets a lot easier when you start making decisions. You can move through things faster, knowing that, you may not always get it right, but it's not going to come to you at a later point, making it now and not rather than later.
Gotcha. Well, Grace, you brought some really, really useful information. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
All right. Hope to see you again.